Biden is the key to triple-digit oil. He is pandered to a base that wants to destroy oil and gas. Not just destroy oil and gas, but they want oil and gas to pay. They want them to go to prison. They want them in handcuffs, and they want them to be destroyed. And Biden is their superhero. And so Biden has made all these campaign promises. It all started when he was fighting for the Democratic primary, when Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, when all of those guys were making these campaign promises, trying to trump each other, no pun intended, trump each other on who is going to be the hardest on the oil and gas industry. And Biden took everything that Bernie said, Elizabeth Warren said, Kamala Harris said, and he combined them all and he said, hey, I'm coming against oil and gas. And now that he has said that he's going to do it, now he has to do it. Now that check better cash. And so he's catering to all the people that he promised. And so he is trying to destroy the oil and gas. But really what's happening, he's destroying oil and gas production. And when you destroy oil and gas production, it is going to cause a supply deficit. And now the analyst in the news is starting to talk about it when I've been talking about it for months. Okay. And so let's talk about oil. WTI crude is $52.74. Brent crude $55.70. And look, I already said this. Biden's federal land drilling ban is bullish for oil. But it's not just speculation about what impact on drillers, and especially frackers will be, Biden's intervention will have. And just as important question is what to expect on the price of oil as a result. Overnight, Goldman's commodity team said that a lack of urgency from the U.S. government to lift Iranian sanctions and push for larger physical spending to support the constructive view on oil and gas prices. At the same time, it estimated that a $2 trillion stimulus over 21 to 22 would increase U.S. demand by 200,000 barrels a day, and stated that delays in full return of Iran production would support the bullish oil outlook. Goldman's summary, which could say is obvious, policies to support energy demand but restrict hydrocarbon production will prove inflationary in coming years, given the still negligible share of transportation demand coming from EVs. In short, I love this. Just what Putin and the Crown Prince ordered. If you watch my last video, you would see that I already said all this, and I said that weeks ago. And so we're on our way because of this guy. We are not going to have enough oil to support the demand. And this guy is forcing us all on a bridge. He's saying, hey, get off. Hey, look, I know we have been building this bridge for 150 years. Infrastructure, the grid started 150 years ago, and it's been built around fossil fuels. Look, guys, I know we've been walking across this bridge for 150 years. I know it's the only bridge, and I know it works. But let's get off this bridge right now. I'm going to make laws to where you can't go across this bridge anymore, and I'm going to force you to go down this brand new clean bridge that has rainbows. And it's good for our environment, and it will save the planet. It's not finished yet, but start walking across it right now. By the time you get to the end of the bridge, there's going to be a rainbow, or you're just going to fall right through and plummet to your death. Look, guys, we are on path for building an infrastructure that doesn't exist to replace fossil fuels that does exist, and we are going to be in a supply deficit. Guys, I've been seeing the writing on the wall for a long time, and now analysts and journalists are actually starting to talk about it. Underinvestment in oil and gas may cause major problems. This is January 26th. Okay, that was this news came out yesterday, and I've been saying this for years. Sure, the upstream will continue to be a core business for the major oil corporations for at least a few more years, as it will continue to be their cash engine, as BP has recently said, although it plans to have its oil and gas production drop by 40% within a decade. The reshaping of the portfolios and the careful capital allocation after a third major shock to the industry in just over a decade will see continued underinvestment in oil and gas, analysts say. The declining upstream investment, if not reversed in the next few years, could lead to a crude oil supply gap later this decade. Regardless of when peak oil demand will occur, the world will need large amounts of oil even when global oil consumption stops working. Guys, we are heading for a mess, and we have an administration in place that hates oil. He hates it, and he is going after it, okay? Oil prices jump on large inventory draw. Crude oil prices jumped higher today after the Energy Information Administration reported a crude oil inventory draw of 9.9 million barrels for the week to January 22nd. Fuel inventories were mixed. Big oil's exploration cuts exacerbate supply deficit. The idea that crude oil could ever again hit three-digit prices levels may sound ridiculous at a time when slack demand amid a pandemic has oil stuck in the 50s. Yet one thing any market is not is static, and many expect vaccines to boost demand after this year's end. In fact, some are warning about a looming oil deficit, and big oil is slashing exploration activities. Reuters reported this week, citing data from Rystad Energy, that new onshore and offshore lease acquisition by the world's top 5 oil companies fell to lowest in at least 5 years in 2020. Of course, much of this decline was caused by the pandemic, and also the pandemic that is spurring on potentially permanent change in the agenda of big oil. BP has decimated its oil and gas exploration team. Another report by Reuters, citing company sources, also revealed this week from more than 700 a few years ago, there were now fewer than 100 people on this team, with the rest either laid off or moved to low-carbon energy divisions, BP's top priority for the future. The winds have turned very chilly in the exploration team since Looney's arrival. Hey, I like that. Looney's arrival. This is happening incredibly fast. Reuters quoted one company employee from the exploration team as saying, perhaps the reduction in exploration activities is fully justified by the change in priorities for BP and its peers. Big oil is all about renewable energy, EV charging, and energy storage now. All European supermajors have some plan or other for an oil production reduction over the long term. BP eyes a cut of 1 million barrels a day by 2030. Look, perhaps the reduction in exploration activities, big oil is all about renewable energy. Big oil is all about renewable energy. Guys, this is what's happening. Big oil had a meeting because big oil went broke. They went broke because they spent all this money on fracking, on non-conventional oil plays that are not profitable. They knew, geologically speaking, that it's similar to a Ponzi scheme where investors get 80% of their money in a short time, then all of a sudden it goes to nothing. They did that for one reason, because the banks opened up the doors to them and said, how much do you need? Now the banks stop lending for the shale fracking industry. Why? Because they lost trillions. Proven by the study of 35 companies. 35 oil companies studied everything they spent and every dollar they made, and all of them lost. And so now what are they doing? Just like they did for the fracking industry, now they're going green. Why? Because they could get money. Guys, don't fall for this. Look, I don't blame Exxon and BP and all the major oil companies going green to get money. From an investment standpoint, it's not a smart move. Everybody's going green at the same time and leaving oil. So now we're going to have an oil deficit, and then we're going to have a huge green energy bubble explode, just like the .com shortly after 9/11. Look, guys, I see the writing on the wall. The fact that oil and gas is jumping into green territory says to me they are getting desperate for money, because Generation X and the millennials, that's the only thing they're investing in. And so they're trying to cater to these guys, and they're trying to join the Biden administration with, hey, let's go against oil. But guys, we're going to see the highest oil has ever been. All right, guys, I'm Sean Pruitt, president of Kingdom Exploration. If you're interested in learning more about oil and gas, my information is in the description below. If you like this channel, please subscribe and we will talk soon. Thanks.